Welcome to edition 4 of Truster.tv. Got a banging lineup for you once again, kicking off with a video that sees 3 young artists who are collaborating across different territories. From the United States of America, Abby Kay on guitar and bass, AP Tobler on drums, and from Ukraine, Victory Vishanska on vocals. And this is a song by them called Orange Bang.
Let me take you down my old street. It's where I learned to walk with 2 feet. I found a photograph of you. wanted to, was all I wanted to. Take you down my old street. It's where I learned to walk with 2 feet. I found a photograph of you.
It's where I learned to walk with 2 feet.
Amazing. That was the Greeners with the video for Old Street. Their second time on the show. They were in edition 1 as well. And before that, you had a collaboration between Abby Kay, AP Tobler, and Victory Vishanska, a song called Orange Bang. Now, Matt Finucane is a young singer-songwriter from Brighton. He gave us this performance of a song called Perilous Seat, which he recorded live in lockdown.
You got some heavy reservations, but you thought long and hard. There's an empty seat of danger. You've earned the right to sit down. And I said to you, genuinely, spiders and rats.
spike to my hair, soaked it up peroxide, I just didn't care. Well, now my hair's thinning, soon nothing left. Hell, you gotta do what's fun, gotta do what's best. At school you learn at lessons, I learn at the pub. Busking there for money, then off to a club. A club you get a pint when someone put down, then you'd run like hell if they had a meltdown. And every night you sleep until it's 10, head back to the pub, start it all again anew. Never wanted anything, just me and guitar, the price of a pint and Jamaican cigar. I smoked till felt dizzy, smoked till felt chill. Smoking kept you warm and was better than pills, yeah. And every night you sleep until it's 10, head back to the pub and we start it all again anew. Life it was easy, avoided the rent. If the landlord came a knocking, then we circumvent. We'd move if we had to, find a new place. Ain't getting a job, don't belong in that race. And every night we sleep until it's 10, head back to the pub and start it all again anew.
Well, that was the video for Manic Grass, their second time on the show, and the song called Jamaican Cigar. Now, Friends of Gavin are a legendary band from the 80s who reformed recently under the leadership of Billy Brown and have recorded a new EP, but they've also been working with the charity 1 Million Meals, who provide meals for key workers, and they've recorded this song, which is their cover of a certain well-known Proclaimers song with the words rewritten to suit the cause. This is Friends of Gavin in conjunction with the 1 Million Meals charity, and this is called 1 Million Meals.
Well, I know I'm gonna be the man who cares for all of you. And when I stay in, yeah, I know I'm gonna be the man who stays in to help you. And if I get sick, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who gets sick needing you. And if I'm locked down, yeah, I know I'm gonna be the man who's locked down to save you. And I would give 1 million meals, and I would give 1 million more to be the man who gives 1 million meals and drops them at your door. When they're working, yes, they know they're gonna be the cooks working hard for you. And when the money comes in for the work they do, we'll pass almost every penny on to you. So when you come home, well, you know you're coming home to a hot meal that we have made for you. And if I grow old, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who's thanking all of you. And I would give 1 million meals, and I would give 1 million more to be the man who gives 1 million meals and drops them at your door. I wake up, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who cares for all of you. And when I stay in, yeah, I know I'm gonna be the man who stays in to help you. So if I get sick, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who gets sick needing you. And if I'm locked down, yeah, I know I'm gonna be the man who's locked down to save you. And I would give 1 million meals, and I would give 1 million more to be the man who gives 1 million meals and drops them at your door. And I would give 1 million meals, and I would give 1 million more to be the man who gives 1 million meals and drops them at your door.
Thank you, 1 million meals.
Fantastic. Friends of Gavin there with a great cover of the Proclaimers song, and of course in an extremely good cause. Now Wild Horse are a young band from Sussex. They got a video out for a track called Can't. Here it is.
Everybody was my friend. I don't wanna lie to you.
'cause lying's all I do. I can't remember when everybody was my friend. I don't wanna lie to you, 'cause Elmer's on the bills again, and I just go to school again. I don't wanna lie, stop ringing on my mental health. Oh, stop ringing on my mental health. Oh, stop ringing on my mental health.
Well, the Trust the Doc radio show goes out every Saturday at 5 p.m. UK time on XRL-FM, and it's become something of a gathering place for members of the new music community, voting in the Track of the Week poll, interacting about some of the features, and just generally discussing music and having a good time. So do tune in, xrlfm.com, and if you miss the live show, you can catch up with it for the next 7 days on the podcast. There's also a midweek show, Trust the Doc Extra, which goes out at 8 p.m. on Wednesday evening. It's a pre-recorded podcast, but it gives you a chance to hear some of the tracks that didn't make it onto the Saturday show. You can find all of these things at xrlfm.com. Well, I'm very pleased to have with me on the show today Pablo Ettinger, who is in charge of Cafe Nero Music. So, Pablo, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Neil. Good to be here.
And before we get into talking about all the shenanigans around lockdown and everything else, could you maybe give us just a bit of background on how Cafe Nero Music came to be a thing?
Well, I mean, it goes back to '98 when a small group of us were just starting Cafe Nero. And in fact, we had 5 coffee bars in London called Cafe Nero. And I think it was the Soho Jazz Festival, as it was then. And we felt that it'd be great to have some live music in Cafe Nero. I hadn't actually been living in the UK for a few years, but someone said to me, there's this guy called Tony Moore, give him a ring, he'll know a musician who can play live. I rang Tony, he said, yeah, I know a musician, it's me, I'll come and do it. So to cut a long story short, he came and played in Frith Street Cafe Nero for the festival. We got chatting. He invited me down to his live music club, the Kashmir Club, which was a fabulous live music club going at that time. And I just kind of got hooked into the live music scene in London. Got to know the musicians, and I'm a musician, I should say. So music's always been very close to my heart. I'm a jazz musician. And I started inviting the musicians to give me their music, their CDs, as you know, everyone had CDs then. And I just started picking tracks to play in Cafe Nero. And it grew and grew and grew until I got to a point where one musician asked if he could play live in Cafe Nero. In fact, he wanted to do a tour, which I thought was an extraordinary idea, but you know, sounded great. And I agreed.
Or of Cafe Nero, you mean?
So a tour of Cafe Nero's, yeah.
Oh.
By that time, we had maybe 40 or 50. So this would be going to 2002, probably. And he did a tour. He loved it. His name was Jack Savoretti. He's done quite well since then. And it just grew from there. And then more musicians came to see me and said, could they play? And so we built up this program. And a couple of years later, a guy, Hugh Phillimore, rang me up and said, would we like to build a coffee bar in a music festival, the Cornbury Music Festival? And we did that. And that I said, can I bring a few musicians with me? And he laughed because he didn't think I could do it. And that has grown and grown and grown until we now have a really major stage at the festival, putting on independent artists. So the whole program has kind of just over 22 years has grown and grown and grown.
So did it start off then as a jazz thing, or was it always your intention for it to be quite eclectic?
Always intended it to be eclectic, and really from the early day, right from the day one actually of Nero, we decided that the morning, if you go into Nero in the morning, you hear classical music. At lunchtime, you hear jazz. In the afternoon, you hear singer-songwriter, retro pop, moving into soul in the evening. So, for 22 years, that's been our program, and it continues to this day.
I had no idea that it was actually that regulated. You have genres at different times a day.
No, and music is so important to the ambiance, to the atmosphere of a coffee bar. And it really is amazing because in the morning it's pretty chilled and people are having a quiet breakfast. And then at about 10:30 it switches to jazz. And if you're in a Nero, it's amazing. The whole atmosphere lifts up. Suddenly people kind of start moving around more, and the music makes such a difference to the feel of the coffee bar.
When you are finally properly reopened, I'm going to have to go and sit in a Nero for about 4 hours and try and observe this process taking place, I think. Now, I know one of the things that's important to you, as you say, being a musician yourself and being somebody who I know has done a lot of philanthropic things in your time, is making sure that the musicians are looked after. So how do you go about ensuring that the musicians are paid for the things they provide?
In the early days, when we were very small, it was a real challenge. And actually one of the main ways I got around it is that when musicians are playing in a Nero, they can sell merch. And the amazing thing is they do pretty well. And so in the early days, that was really how they kind of justified and made some money from playing in a Caffè Nero. They would sell their CDs mainly. And in general, they do very well.
I can vouch for that, of course, because a certain artist who I manage played a Caffè Nero and indeed did very well with merch on the day.
There you go. But I'm pleased now that over time, I mean, we now have in the UK something like 850 coffee bars, and so really the main, or one of the main ways that I can give money back to them is through royalties. I mean, our royalty check every year, PRS PPL, is now many hundreds of thousands of pounds. I'm pleased to say, which is brilliant, and I love signing that check every year. Because I know it does get to the musician. So, if a musician has tracks playing on our playlist, it now turns into real money. And if we make them what we call a featured musician, and we play them for 15 minutes every day for months, what we call our artist of the month, they actually do really well out of it. So that's one of the primary ways I do get money back to them. And then obviously if they're playing festivals and, we actually have a stage at Heathrow, they get properly paid for that. Whenever possible, they're getting a fee for any live work they're doing.
That's fantastic. And how do people go about trying to get themselves on the playlist? Is there a sort of way that they can submit, or do they just have to hope that you discover them?
No. I mean, I get emails, every week I get 1 or 2 emails from musicians. Obviously it has to be the right genre, because if it's drum and bass, whatever, we can't play it. But if it's the right genre, I'll always listen to it, and if it's of interest, then I'll go back to them and try and find a track or two. But we obviously get a huge variety of artists writing to us, and some of them are just not being sensible, or they're not being realistic, should we say. They're very, very early stage, very young artists. But other times I've discovered incredible musicians just from people sending me music. So we have a process in place. I don't choose alone. I have a guy, very, very experienced editor who runs our library. I mean, he runs, he has 4 million tracks in his library. And he always checks my sanity, and he'll tell me if he thinks I'm wrong, and vice versa. He'll send me things and I'll listen to them. So we work together to try and build up a playlist which we think works for the brand. It's got to work for the brand.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, of course. I mean, if you go to a coffee house, obviously you don't really expect to be hit by 10 minutes of death metal. But so no. On the subject of which, obviously Caffè Nero, like everybody else, has been hit hard by lockdown. What's the situation at the moment? How long before we can see Caffè Nero starting to allow people to come in and hear music again?
Yeah. Well, we were entirely closed, but by the end of June, we'll have about 200 open in this country, just over 200 for takeaway only, which is better than nothing. And at the moment, we're being told that probably in July we'll be able to open with social distancing in place internally, so people can actually come in. But we wait to hear from the government, and they need to confirm what we can and cannot do. But we're ready for it. We've put in place a huge number of extra cleaning and personal PPE and all the rest of it. Sooner the better for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's been wonderful discussing all this with you, Pablo. I do look forward to a time when not only you're fully open, but also we can see live musicians performing in Caffè Nero again, and be able to listen to your wonderful playlist. So good luck with it all, and fingers crossed that things, we know it's going to be tough no matter what happens, but fingers crossed that it's not the worst scenario for you, and look forward to that. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Well, thank you, and thank you for all your help and support for independent musicians and independent music.
Oh, thank you, Pablo. That's very kind. Well, big thanks to the wonderful Pablo Ettinger for that interview. And next up, it's those effing snowflakes from Blackpool and a song called Only Weak Men Fear Strong Women. Those effing snowflakes.
Smoke brings dinosaurs.
dear.
Well, that was a video for those effing snowflakes in the song Only Weak Men Fear Strong Women. Now, Josie appeared in edition 1 of Trust the Doc TV, performing a live lockdown track on her own, doing a cover of a Bill Withers classic. But we have now managed to find this footage from the tour that she was on just before the rest of it got cancelled, performing with her musical partner in crime, Dina Conradson. It's Josie, and a track which is on her latest EP, and it's called Joy.
Maybe in heaven for half an hour before the devil knows you're dead, and may the road rise up to meet you, and the sun always shine on your head. I hope you have warm words on a cold evening and a smooth road home to bed. May your joys be as deep as oceans, and may your troubles be as light as its fall, and may you find peace of mind wherever you roam, wherever you roam, wherever you roam, will always be home. May you be in heaven for half an hour before the devil knows you're dead. May the road rise up to meet you, and the sun always shine on your head. I hope you have warm words on a cold evening and a smooth road home to bed. May your joys be as deep
Daisy there performing live with Dina just before lockdown and the song Joy. Now it's time to catch up with my next guests on the show. Well, my next guests on the show are Honey Haas, and they are a band who were signed to Rough Trade, I think something like 3 years ago. They're all sisters and play guitar, bass and drums between them. So Honey Haas, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Hi.
And just to be clear, it's Rowan, Robin and Sylvie, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So let's start with asking you a little bit about the background to the band. I mean, obviously you're all sisters, your parents I know are musicians. Was it just a kind of no-brainer that you're all going to learn instruments and start playing together? How did it all evolve?
I think definitely we were all going to learn instruments, but whether or not we were going to be a band, I don't think that was pre-decided. I think it just kind of came together.
Just formed.
Yeah, because we used to just sing together, and then we were like, oh, we may as well get Sylvie on the drums, get Robin on the bass.
Well, I'm sure it was much brought about by busking.
Yeah.
Busking was a big part of
But
it.
that was when we were just singing.
Oh, right. So you went busking quite young then?
Yeah, really
very
young. Honestly, when we were like 6.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Because of us being like...
No, that's Maggie young.
Well, she must have been 6.
I was going to say it's got worked out rather conveniently that you got guitar, bass, and drums between you, hasn't it? Was that a deliberate thing?
That was decided. Yeah, that was definitely deliberate.
Yeah, I don't think that was.
They weren't playing before we had the band. They kind of started playing so we could have the band.
Oh, right, brilliant. And did you start off doing original material, or is that just something that's developed over time?
Well, actually, we were watching a video yesterday from 2015. Yeah, we have been writing songs
forever, really. Well, not forever.
Not forever, but
it
did start with covers. It did start with covers. And then, I started writing songs, and then we started writing songs together. And then,
Right, cool. I mean, I know that when I started my first band when I was about 9, and the only reason I wrote songs, I didn't know enough chords to play the ones that were in the charts. But is it kind of one person particularly lead to songwriting, or is it very collaborative?
It is collaborative.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely more collaborative. I mean, when we write the songs, we're
We're
all
all very involved, and we're all giving ideas, and we're not afraid to say if we think something's shit.
Yeah,
which is good, because if you're writing with someone you don't know too well, then you're kind of a bit more nervous about telling them, no, I don't like that.
Yeah.
But we can tell each other what we think.
Yeah, that's good. So it means that you're having high standards from the word go. So what's the story with you signing to Rough Trade, particularly so young as well?
Yeah,
You can tell it.
well, I think, they just saw us performing one
No, it was
day
Goat Girl's
in a
manager.
pub.
Goat Girl's manager was at a gig, because we were supporting Goat Girl, I think, in the Ivy House, if that's right.
Yeah,
And
that's
then
right.
it's literally just the pub up there, 5
Or maybe
minutes.
it was Windmill. No, it was definitely the other house.
And then they showed Rough Trade a video or something, and then Rough Trade came to the Windmill and saw us there. And then we were so
it just
young, we
came
weren't even
from there.
aware what was.
Yeah, we
what it
literally didn't
was.
even know it was a big deal or
No,
anything.
not at all. Not at all.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, it's getting signed. Yeah, we didn't really understand it really.
Yeah, I mean, for somebody my age, Rough Trade are like the iconic indie label. They were there right at the start when indie labels were barely a thing, and so it's not just signing for any label, it's signing for Rough Trade, who are just world famous.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Interesting that you were playing gigs. So you mentioned a pub. Was one of those pubs by any chance the Ivy House?
Yeah, that's the one. Ivy
That's
House.
the one that we were.
Yeah, see, I mean,
2 minutes from our house.
I used to promote there every month up until not long before lockdown. So we're very familiar with it. And you played the Windmill, which is another great venue. So you've been getting some really good gigs. So you had an album out on Rough Trade, which I think you felt a little bit disappointed that it didn't really go anywhere or whatever. What's the plan now? Are you working on album number 2 now?
So we've kind of
developed our style since then, I'd say.
Yeah, but we're not with Rough Trade anymore, so I think we've had a bit of a break because well, before it was all handed to us on a plate. It was like, go in the studio, here's your producer,
Yeah.
here's everything, and you can just make an album. But now we've got to make ourselves do it. And I think we've literally not been that inspired to do it until quite recently.
Yeah, literally a few weeks ago, days
Yeah,
ago.
we had a meeting.
We've now kind of got back on it, and we are really seeing a future for it. But yeah, we think we're going to do
For
a
a
lot
long
of it,
time,
a lot of it
we
home in here, because just on Logic and stuff, and then get that to some producers maybe.
Yeah, and
And-
try to get at least an EP out
Yeah,
soon-ish.
Yeah.
I mean,
Definitely.
obviously, you know, these days recording at home is, you know, it's a much better experience than it used to be. And a lot of artists now pretty much do everything at home, and then you can put it on your BBC Introducing page and be on the radio a week later. You know, it's that it can be that simple. So, so it's
we
all
do
good.
have a large body of work that hasn't been put on the album, but whether or not that will be, I think some of it will be released. I think some of it will just
Yeah.
be
Not released.
not released. Yeah.
Yeah. And then hopefully at some point, I mean, nobody really knows when, but at some point, live music will become a thing again.
Yeah.
One advantage you guys have got, of course, is that you do all live in the same house, and so you are able to rehearse and record together. Have you looked at doing much in terms of like that kind of live streaming thing, or is that not something that interests you that much?
Yeah. We've actually just started a kind of campaign. It's called Honey House Challenge, and we're doing 30 days of singing every day. So there's a YouTube up every single day.
Oh,
of us
wow.
singing. Yeah.
Yeah.
YouTube video. But we do like live streaming. We did one on
Yeah.
Facebook a few weeks ago.
And on Instagram.
And
Yeah.
on Instagram.
Mm.
Oh, cool.
So-
How did that go?
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
We enjoyed it.
Excellent. So a couple more questions then. Let me ask you about the name Honey Hearts. There's a little story with this, isn't there, with your involving your younger sister?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it just kind of, it was just like, she just kind of said it and it kind of stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With a singing along kind of thing. And then just kind of someone said, that's quite a good name for a band. So,
Well, to be fair, it is. Mentioning your little sister, the track that we're going to show of you performing live in lockdown actually involves her playing keyboard and introducing the track. So, is the plan that Honey Haas will at some point become a quartet of sisters?
Definitely. Yeah. Sometime
that
in the
would be
future.
good.
Sometimes.
When she's a little older, I think she'll be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she'd be a great asset to
But
a
she
band.
can play live with us.
Yeah,
With
she
her
can.
keyboard, yeah.
She likes playing the keyboard with us. I don't know if she's brave enough yet to like.
she's not too keen on,
The
Going on
whole,
stage.
yeah.
she's quite shy when it comes to new situations.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was talking to earlier on to somebody who managed a very famous band who I won't mention, but they're one of my all-time favourite bands, and he was telling me that their lead singer, who would be considered virtually a megastar, was so shy that he used to have to walk her on stage every night when they're on tour. So you know, if your little sister's worrying about being on stage, there are adults who still find that a complete crisis. So what's the plan now? So the second album, you're saying you're not with Rough Trade. Are you looking to release it yourself, or are you looking to place that with a label at some point?
It's kind of up in the air at the moment, I'd say.
I feel like we might do it ourselves and just get a PR team to help us release it with proper publicity and stuff. But
It
I
would
don't
be
know.
really nice.
We're open to everything.
Yeah, we're
We're
very
just gonna
open.
see what happens, really.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, it's obvious that the band has got massive potential, and so many things in your favour, all being sisters, living in the same house, having similar voices, which means when you harmonise it, sounds pretty special. And you know, I think there's massive potential there. So good luck with it all, and hopefully 2021 will be a big year for Honey Haas. So,
Yeah.
Thank
Thank you.
and thanks ever so much for being on the show.
Oh, you're
Thank you
welcome.
for
Thanks for
having
having
us.
us.
You're
Yes.
very
Yeah.
welcome. And we're going to now look at the video of you performing live, singing Lemon Tree. Is that correct?
Yeah.
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 Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, Honey Haas.
Thank you.
Very much. Bye.
Hi guys, my name is Peach. Welcome back to our channel. It's day 3 and today we're singing an original called Lemon Tree.
1, 2, 3, 4. A box of wine, a favorite green chair, a lemon tree on the balcony, and he's fine. A woman or two, but that won't do. I love her for every picture on the wall, and he's fine. He's fine, he is fine, he is fine. But where is he going tonight? He's gonna be wearing that coat that you left there the night before. He's gonna be singing that song that you love him on the floor. I know you want to give him my love, send him my want to give him my rose, tell him I need don't you waste your pretty tears, but it's for the one I won't see you anymore. So honey, you better run right out that door. It switched the mood from sad to happy and charm her as a mania, and he's fine. He's fine, he is fine, he is fine. But where is he going tonight? He's gonna be wearing that coat that you left there the night before. He's gonna be singing that song that you wrote him on the floor. I know you want to give him my love, send him my want to give him my rose, tell him I leave. Don't you waste your pretty tears, I won't see you anymore. So honey, you better run right out that door. Ready? Second one.
Well, Phoebe Coco is a singer-songwriter who's been on the show before. Once again, she has a new single out, which is a full production number, but she's provided us with this live solo voice and piano version. It's Phoebe Coco and Brick Wall.
This song is Brick Wall.
Here's the story, oh, that's how it goes. Kids hang out and they fall in love, playing games with sticks and stones, only holding hands just to feel the clothes. Grow up good and they have it all, seeing each other through the rise and fall. But they get caught out in the storm and forget somehow what it's all about. Banging her head on a brick wall, banging, 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 doesn't budge at all. She's walking strong, she's walking tall, she just can't resist the pull. Banging her head on a brick wall, banging, 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 doesn't budge at all. She's walking strong, she's walking tall, but she just can't resist the pull. Break away to a new place. Eyes are filled with forests and fields, in the fields, in the hills, in the fields. Now they're younger than before, running down blind down a slope. For cheap thrills they get confused. Watch out, kids, it's a ruse. They read statistics that show better off as numbers and happier alone. Fairground fortunes they come between, and very soon they're separate sides and arguing, banging her head on a brick wall. Banging, banging, banging doesn't budge at all. She's walking strong, she's walking tall. She just can't resist the pull. Banging her head on a brick wall. Banging, banging, banging doesn't budge at all. She's walking strong, she's walking tall, but she just can't resist the pull. Her friends say he's a fool, but she loves him, and that means all. Break away to a new place. Eyes are filled with forests and fields, in the fields, in the hills, in the fields. Banging her head on a brick wall. Banging, banging, banging doesn't budge at all. She's walking strong, she's walking tall, but she just can't resist the pull. Banging her head on a brick wall. Banging, banging, banging doesn't budge at all. She's walking strong, she's walking tall, but she just can't resist the pull.
Well, next up we have a trio who are based in the northwest of England. They are Katrina and Francis King-Smith, who met at Berkeley College in Boston, Massachusetts, Katrina being from San Antonio in Texas, and Francis being from Manchester, where he'd previously met with a local legend, Anif Akinola, who's formerly a member of Voodoo Ray and has worked with the likes of Kirsty MacColl. And the three of them have now become survivors. They sent us this wonderful video for the track In Heaven, Survivors. Well, that is it for another edition of Trust the Doc TV. Now, the show goes out on the 1st and 3rd Tuesdays of the month, so the next edition will actually be on the 7th of July. I do hope you'll tune in then for more banging tracks, more videos, more live lockdown performances, more interviews, and more news on the radio show. Till then, bye for now.